I'm leaving tonight and I'm not coming back, kid. My fate is tied to a monster from the depths of time.
This week in game news, Sony announced a price and release date for the PlayStation 4 Pro, Fallout 4 will not have mod support on PS4, Nintendo is bringing Super Mario Run to iOS, the PlayStation Vita and Wii U ports of Hyper Light Drifter have been cancelled, the writers in Mass Effect Andromeda are siblings, Overwatch is free for a weekend on console, Interplay is selling off its video game assets, this includes the rights to Earthworm Jim, MDK and Descent, and Mac and Linux versions of Rocket League have gone into beta on Steam, while Rumble Mode has finally been released. This is the penultimate episode of the Blackman and Robin Game News Update. So, this show is ending next week. I'm honestly gonna miss saying Blackman and Robin Game News Update every week. It's been my favorite show thus far to produce, and I'm sad to see it go. Why is it ending, you ask? Well, I'm leaving Blackman and Robin, and I'm starting my own site. I'll be making the full announcement during next week's episode, but if you're feeling nosy, you'll find it with a little digging. I'd like to thank you for tuning in from wherever you are. Maybe you're listening to the podcast version of the show, maybe you're watching on television, or watching online. Thank you. If you're wondering where you can get your game news every week, don't despair. I will still be doing a weekly game news show. If you're watching on TV, it'll still be on the same channel. If you're online, you'll just have to update your bookmarks. I'll talk a bit more about the changes this will bring next week. Rest assured, it's for the best folks. For now, it's time for game news. To get the worst of the PS4 news out of the way, that mod support for Bethesda's games on PS4 isn't happening. According to a blog post from Bethesda, after months of discussion with Sony, we regret to say that while we have been long ready to offer mod support on PlayStation 4, Sony has informed us they will not approve user mods the way they should work, where users can do anything they want for either Fallout 4 or Skyrim Special Edition. Bethesda didn't specify exactly what went wrong, but they did place the blame squarely on Sony, and they say that they'd hope to find other ways user mods can be available for our PlayStation audience, but that essentially right now, Sony won't let them do mods properly. I'm disappointed but unsurprised. Any number of things could have prevented mod support. Maybe it was moderation itself? After all, Fallout 4 shipped with a particular ESRB rating. It's entirely possible for a user-created mod to introduce content that goes beyond the rating. This creates a complicated situation because of the way that games are sold on game consoles. Then again, it could have been a security worry. Maybe there were fears that users would create mods that could enable game piracy on the PS4. Or maybe there were fears of these mods taking the place of paid DLC, and Sony became scared of losing money somehow. What strikes me as the likeliest scenario, however, is quality control. User-made mods aren't always stable. Sometimes they cause crashes and conflicts with other mods. Now, user mods are offered without expressed or implied warranties. There's a real chance that Sony didn't want to deal with users seeking tech support when they're wondering why they're getting half a frame a second when they use 4K texture mods. What do you think? Is Sony standing in the way of mods on their console when it was supposed to be such a good selling point for the PS4 version of Fallout 4 and Skyrim Special Edition? Hit us up and follow at Blackman and Robin on Twitter and let us know.
3.5 years ago, on a stage much like this, we presented our vision for the future of gaming and interactive entertainment.
Regarding the PS4 Pro, Sony announced that will be coming out on November 10th, 2016 for $399. The PlayStation 4 Pro will run your PS4 games, but at 4K. Now, some games will have 4K support patched in, whereas others will run at 4K natively at launch. In a statement made to Kotaku, Sony said that they won't be charging extra for these 4K patches, so maybe my Bethesda mod support conspiracy theory is just a little crazy. Personally, I think it's interesting to see this. It's a sort of paradigm shift in the way that consoles are being sold. The PS4 Pro isn't a totally new machine. It's still running PS4 games, but it's also pushing more pixels. Nintendo did something similar with the new 3DS, which boasts extra processing power over the launch version of the 3DS. Microsoft's doing the same thing with Project Scorpio, which will be an Xbox One with more power. I have mixed feelings on this. On the one hand, it's neat to see a change in the way game consoles are being sold. Mid-cycle upgrades for better hardware means more consumer choice, and developers don't need to create nerfed versions of games for PCs, but on the other hand, market fragmentation could be an issue. Microsoft and Sony have stressed that these new systems won't have exclusive games so as not to split up player bases. When the new 3DS came out, it had some exclusives that didn't sell all that well, and that was due in part to old 3DS owners not wanting to drop money to upgrade. I was one of those users, and I'm still a little bitter about Xenoblade. Just a little. Also, the PS4 Slim is being released on September 15th for $299, and it's pretty much an ordinary PS4, but with a bit of a redesign. It's smaller, lacks an optical port, and has a 500GB hard drive, while the Pro model of the PS4 that's coming out comes with a full terabyte hard drive. So, what do you think about the PS4 Pro? Worth picking up? Hit us up on Twitter at Blackman and Robin and let us know. We'd be happy to share your thoughts on next week's episode. While we're talking hardware, this week Apple announced a new model of the iPhone and, as the rumors said, it doesn't have a headphone jack, which is totally lame. That said, the impossible also happened during Apple's press conference. Shigeru Miyamoto came on stage and announced that Super Mario Run was coming to iOS. Set to be released in December, it's a free-to-play endless runner. I know, I'm shocked too. Nintendo's been really strict about not bringing their IP to non-Nintendo platforms. This year, however, it seems as though they've decided to put their games on third-party platforms, and the result of this has been a spike in sales for their own hardware and software. It seems that this is the opposite of what they were expecting to happen in years past. This new element of their business model, of putting their games on third-party platforms, is serving them quite well thus far. Now, does this mean that one day we'll see Mario on an Xbox or PlayStation? Probably not, but I would not be surprised at this point. In Pokemon Go news, we got an interesting tidbit about an upcoming update from Apple's conference. Pokemon Go is coming to the Apple Watch. It seems as though it's meant to be a sort of companion to the main game rather than a replacement for it. The Apple Watch version will tell you about nearby Pokemon, Pokestops, and how far you need to walk in order to hatch your eggs. It's set to be released later this year. Hopefully, it takes some pressure off of your battery. While we're talking Nintendo, last week you may have seen our report on the game No Mario Sky, a parody of Super Mario and No Man's Sky. Well, Nintendo demanded that the game be pulled. It was a little surprising. Even though Nintendo's notably harsh when it comes to defending their intellectual properties from fans who just want to make cool parodies, which are legally protected under fair use, the DMCA for No Mario Sky seems excessive. Of all the fan games, this seems like one least likely to set off Nintendo's lawyers drooling. They've already killed off Pokemon Uranium, which took nearly a decade to produce. Now they're after games produced in Ludum Dares. Before you know it, they'll be going after Mario-themed graffiti on subway cars. The developers, however, took it in stride, releasing a new game called DMCA Sky in no time, which is pretty much No Mario Sky, but starring a dude named Spaceman Finn in search of Princess Mango. We've got a convenient link to download it at blackmanandrobin.com. In game releases this week, if Norse mythology is your sort of thing, you might want to take a look at Jotun, Valhalla Edition, which was released on the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Wii U this week. In case you've not heard of Jotun, it's a game in which you're a Viking named Thora fighting giants in an attempt to get into Valhalla. The game was previously released on Steam for Mac, Windows, and Linux, and it garnered fantastic reviews. The game has this really cool art style. It's kinda cartoony, it's hand-drawn, but it's a different drawing style from something like, the Banner Saga. So, if you're looking for a beautiful game that's all about facing bosses, check out Jotun. Awesomenauts Assemble was released on the Xbox One this week. Now, in case you're unfamiliar with Awesomenauts, it's a sort of MOBA/platformer. There are 2 teams, and each team needs to destroy the other's base in order to win. It's easy to pick up, and has a really friendly community. Now, I've played quite a bit of the PC version and really dig it. Much like Jotun, this game has a rather cartoony feel. However, in the case of Awesomenauts, it feels more like a Saturday morning cartoon than anything else. It's an aesthetic that fits the game pretty well. As far as gameplay goes, it's very fast-paced. While the basics of the game are pretty much the same no matter which character you're playing as, you do have to get used to the individual mechanics of each character. There's a nice amount of variety there. Also worth noting is that Awesomenauts is a team-based game. So while it is fine if you get into queue and wind up in a team by yourself, it is best played with friends. The Xbox One version of the game comes with free DLC, the Starstorm expansion, which brings new characters. However, the DLC is only free until September 12th. Awesomenauts is also available on the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Mac, Windows, and Linux. The Tomorrow Children was released on the PlayStation 4 this week, and it is bizarre. Unabashedly bizarre. From what I've heard, it's sort of like Animal Crossing combined with a city-building game, with a little bit of Minecraft thrown in. Oh, and there's a heavy Soviet vibe. When you collect resources, for instance, they get distributed among the people of your town, commie-style. Also, that town you're building up, your people are doll citizens that you set to work. Have fun, kids. Speaking seriously, this game is kind of dystopic, but with a weirdly cheery disposition. While it's gotten a good critical reception, there seems to be some confusion among critics regarding just how to categorize the game, because it feels like a mishmash of so many other things, but generally, it combines these elements well. So if you're looking for something weird but cool, check out The Tomorrow Children. If you're looking for a sci-fi RPG, might I suggest taking a look at Halcyon 6 Starbase Commander? The game left early access this week, and it looks really cool. Now available on Steam for Mac, Windows, and Linux, in this game you take command of the titular Halcyon 6, a derelict starbase left behind by mysterious, long-vanished aliens. You need to use it to make contact with other species before a group of hostile aliens makes it to Earth and invades. Regarding gameplay, it's been described as combining elements of FTL Faster Than Light with some of the strategy of Master of Orion, along with XCOM for its base building, and Final Fantasy in its turn-based combat. Overall, it's gotten great reception from both critics and fans, and I'm really looking forward to playing it. Now, in case you didn't know, I'm a huge fan of FTL, so this looks to be my sort of game. Does it sound fun to you? If so, check out Halcyon 6 Starbase Commander. Good news for PlayStation Vita owners, your system's not been totally abandoned by the developers. The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 2 was released on the Vita this week, and it's been getting some pretty good reviews. Now, this is a fantasy RPG. It's set a month after the events of its predecessor, which, from what I've heard, ends on something of a cliffhanger. Now, this game was released a while back on PS3, so it's good to see it finally coming to the Vita. And now, for a brief word from our sponsor.
Wow, somebody finally did it. And fishermen around the world say this lure will change fishing forever.
You tie a line to it, you throw it in the water, you pull it, and it catches fish. It's almost like they have to eat it.
That doesn't look like a fake bait. The Mighty Bite is... that's something.
Imagine a lure that will make fish bite hard, hold on, and refuse to let go until you hook them and reel them in. Say hello to Mighty Bite. And nothing catches a fish's attention better than a wounded bait fish. And that's exactly how Mighty Bite looks, sounds, smells, tastes, and feels. That's why fish cats say no to Mighty Bite. It's better than live bait. And get the Mighty Bite fishing system now.
Hey, Mighty Bite Hand 5. Woo!
Oh yeah.
In today's special TV-only offer, you get the original 5-cents fishing lure system, the Mighty Bite. You get 8 pre-rigged, ready-to-fish Mighty Bite lures in proven multiple sizes, shapes, and natural colors. So you're locked and loaded to catch everything from panfish to giant bass to trophy-sized saltwater game fish.
Hey kid, you ever jam with the console cowboys in cyberspace? No? Well, maybe you had an Angel Fire site and fond memories of Windows 98 SE. If that's the case, you must check out Hypnospace Outlaw, which is currently on Kickstarter and looks really weird, but in a good way. Now, it's a game that draws heavily on the glitch art and vaporwave aesthetics to make a sort of cyberpunk adventure in which you play as a hypno enforcer. Essentially, through the game, you browse a web, taking down bad hackers and browsing dank memes before most folks even knew what the word meme meant. It's interesting to see this sort of adventure game that's not set in any one real physical space, but rather on the internet, or rather on a fake version of an old version of the internet. The game is set to be released in 2018 for Mac, Windows, and Linux. So, if you're looking for a surreal time surfing the wired-like lane, you'll find it in Hypnospace Outlaw. If you're looking for a great deal on a decent game, this month Ubisoft Club is giving away The Crew. Now, last month's offer was Rayman. This is a bit of a change of pace. The Crew is a street racing game that got middling reviews at launch, though I've heard that it has improved thanks to updates since then. There is one caveat, however. You have to use Uplay to play the game. But hey, it is free. You can get it for free from club.ubisoft.com on September 14th. Right now, Rayman Origins is still up as the free game of the month, so grab that if you haven't already. Rayman Origins is a fantastic and whimsical platformer. Also, please keep in mind that these are only the PC versions of the game. The console versions are still gonna cost you. Finally, we have the latest trailer for Endless Space 2. It shows off the game and universe. Enjoy.
Endless Space 2 will put you in the fascinating role of a leader, guiding his civilization in making its first steps into the cold depths of interstellar space. You will explore mysterious star systems, discover the secrets of ancient races, develop advanced technologies of unthinkable power, and of course, encounter new life forms to understand, to court, or to conquer. Your story unfolds in a galaxy that was first colonized by a people known as the Endless, who rose and fell eons ago. All that remains of them are mystical ruins, powerful artifacts, and a mysterious near-magical substance known as dust. Each of the factions you can play has its own story, each with its strengths, weaknesses, special gameplay abilities, and set of traits. At the beginning of a game, you will choose from a wide selection of parameters to determine the size, shape, and age of the galaxy. The Galaxy Generation Engine has been completely redesigned to give you more diversity, more resources, and more secrets. A key new element of Endless Space 2 gameplay is the management of your populations. Your empire may begin with a population dominated by one race, but through the course of the game, other peoples of both major and minor factions may join your civilization, bringing in their own unique gameplay traits and political ideologies. Their presence can help improve your empire's economic productivity or scientific development, or they could even pass powerful laws that your base population finds unpalatable. In Endless Space 2, minor factions control their own systems and fleets. Through careful diplomacy, they can become powerful allies or even be assimilated into your empire. And should you decide that diplomacy is for the weak, warfare and battles have been drastically improved. You will select a tactical play for each battle and watch as you see your fleet engage the enemy in cinematic, stellar conflicts. But war is not only fought in the depths of space. You will also command ground forces that will invade or defend systems. These forces will consist of infantry, artillery, and air support. Regardless of what your preferred strategy is, you will want to hire and use heroes, trained at the Academy, a mysterious organization whose temple is hidden somewhere in the galaxy. These gifted individuals will drive the effectiveness of your empire, and with experience, they will become even more capable. Each civilization will have its own quests, with a unique story to play through. A flexible, rewarding, multiple-path challenge that will teach the player more about their background, motivations, and the universe. This first look is just a glimpse of what to expect in the Endless Space 2 Early Access.
Well, that's it for this week's game news. Be sure to follow at Blackman and Robin for all the latest game news, reviews, previews, and interviews. Be sure to follow me at Jordan_Cameron for my own views.
Most of what we know of him comes to us through his correspondence with the Portuguese. Movember converted to Christianity, patronized religious art, built up his capital, and expanded the wealth of Congo. The Congolese ability is called Nkisi. They get food, production, and gold from each relic, artifact, and great work of sculpture. Congo also gets extra great artist and great merchant points each turn. The Congolese unique unit is the Ngao Mbeba. These shield bearers get extra defense versus ranged attacks, and neither woods nor rainforest slow them down nor block sight. You don't need iron to build them either. The Mbanza is Congo's unique district. It replaces the neighborhood and can be built earlier in the game. It provides housing as well as food and gold. As a religious convert, Mvemba can't build holy sites, but he does get the founder beliefs of any religion that has established itself in the majority of his cities. He gets an apostle each time he finishes an Mbanza or theater district of that city's religion. Congo has some unusual flexibility. It can be religious without having holy sites, and it can grow large cities in the middle of the rainforest. By establishing large mid-game cities in the rainforest or woods, Congo can push towards any victory type. A cultural victory builds on their strengths, but with large early population, they are poised to move towards science or domination victories as well. Can you combine a convert's faith with an empire's glory? How will you lead Congo in Sid Meier's Civilization 6?